Thank you for joining me on the Confidence Through Health podcast. This is a Life Lesson Friday episode. I want to talk about why do we keep doing things when we're not getting the results that we want? And it's a pretty common thing, actually, especially in the US society and societies that are like us, where we get so focused on certain things that may or may not be what we really want, partially because they're advertised to us as what we should have, or they're advertised to us as something that's going to make us feel better when that might not be true because it might not be what we really want. But yet we keep doing those things. And when it comes to our health, it's especially true with nutrition. We keep eating things that we know are not nutritious, but yet they're advertised to us. Maybe they're sold cheap. Maybe there's obviously commercials and things that tell us like, hey, this is the best. I think about like cereals are advertised to kids, and there's a lot of information out there about how bad cereals are as an actual breakfast food. They're actually better for you if you're going to eat them as a dessert, if you're going to eat them at all. So like they're not good for you as a breakfast. If you're going to eat most of the cereals on the market, they're actually better for you as a dessert. And I wouldn't even do it then for most of them on the market. But they're advertised to kids, right? A lot of the slogans are geared towards kids. And it teaches us at an early age, these are the things that we're used to. These are the things that are habitual. And so we keep doing these things and having them as a part of our life. And they're not getting us the results that we want because we may not have the health that we want. We may not have the physical body composition that we want, right? There's a lot of things that can be driven by nutrition alone. Skip exercise, skip sleep, skip meditation, skip all the other things that are a part of a healthy lifestyle. Just looking at nutrition alone, there's a lot of things that we do that are not getting us the results we want, but yet we keep doing them. And whether it's a true food addiction, which I've had people come on my podcast and address before, whether it's sugar or flour or obviously substances that are more defined as addictive, like drugs and alcohol. But there's things in the market, there's things that you don't know that are manufactured. And part of it's coming out now with what RFK is doing and going to be trying to do in different food things that are starting, the light's starting to be shown on, hey, why is the American food different from the same company putting out food in Europe or in other parts of the world? And it's because those parts of the world have recognized and identified these things. And in our country, we just haven't yet. We just haven't been, it's not been something that most of us have been pushing against because they've hidden the actual, the problems that it has caused with our health. And they've pushed that off onto something else and said it's something else. It couldn't possibly be this. It's got to be that. But what it boils down to, though, is whether or not those things are affecting you, because they may not affect everybody. So whether or not the ingredients in the food are affecting you one way or the other, if they're not getting you the results you want, why do we keep doing it? Right? If we're eating a certain way and we're not getting the results we want in our life, whether it's health, whether it's energy, right? Inflammation, different things that can be caused by nutrition or helped relieve by eating proper nutrition. When we don't combine those things, then we're not going to get where we want to be. And a lot of chronic diseases are started 30, 40 years, even before some symptoms show up. They're already started to form in our bodies before we even get symptoms, not even like it's truly manifested as a diagnosed disease, but before we even start to get symptoms of anything. It can be 30 or 40 years before, which all boils down to, again, what are we doing early on that's not providing us proper health? So one of the things to do is to look at your life and say, and I wrote about this in my second book, No More Sugarcoating. What's going on in your life? What are you sugarcoating in your life that you need to peel back the onion and say, is this really getting me where I want to be? Is this really providing me the life on a daily basis that I want to live? And so many of us we work super, super hard now and put off the time that we can enjoy ourselves until we get to retirement. And for the vast majority of people in a Western society, in a Western-based culture, the vast majority of people get to retirement and can't enjoy retirement because they're not healthy enough to do so. It's not because they don't have the money. It's because they're not healthy enough to do the things that they want to do. I've had people come to me for help that are in their 60s and they're like, I can't get on a plane to go see my grandkids or to go visit this place I've always wanted to go see because I can't fit in a plane seat comfortably and I don't want to go because it's uncomfortable to sit in that plane seat for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, and to go through the airport, to go through it, the whole process. It's something they physically are not capable of doing and not comfortable with. And so many of us are putting off things now because we think we're going to be able to do them later. And so what it boils down to is what are you doing now that's not getting you the results you want? And if you're starting to slip, if you're starting to see things change, lack of energy, weight gain, blood pressure, heart rate going up, all of a sudden you're taking a medication for something that, could be controlled by nutrition. All of these things that start earlier in life, by the time we get to retirement age, we're not going to be able to have fun. So what are you doing now that needs to be changed, that needs to be tweaked so that you can get the results that you want? And it may not be overnight, of course, it won't be overnight. It's going to be a long-term change. Don't be afraid of the change. Go ahead and start making that change. Move in that correct direction and start those little compounding pieces to get there. And I've had several guests on my podcast that have talked about that exact thing, about just slow changes, a little bit of compounding here and there. And by the end of the year, by the end of 5 years, by the end of a decade, you're not going to notice who you are. You're not going to recognize yourself because you're going to be so much a different person because you changed in so many positive directions along that path because they start to compound and you start to change other areas of your life and it just starts to blossom. So again, going back to what are you doing now that's not getting you the results that you want? That indicates that something needs to change. And I suggest one of the first places you look is nutrition. Then you can look at exercise, then you can look at sleep, then you can look at spiritual time and look at those, what you might call pillars of health, and determine where you need to make those changes so that you can start getting the results that you want now to prevent diseases and other issues that come up later down the road. So that's your Life Lesson Friday for this episode.